can't sleep. But that's to be expected when that's the title of the video. So it's 11:30 even on April 26th. I just filmed an episode of Conversations in Sunglasses earlier today. That was fun. I love doing that show. But anyway, I mean, if it's dark in here, I don't know how this is going to record. It's comfy, it's cozy. I like it to not be so bright when I'm doing one of these insomniac monologues or whatever it is, I guess. I just can't sleep and start talking and decide to turn on the camera. I felt like tonight I was already in the mood to sit up talking to YouTube. So, hello. How are you? If you're an insomniac like me, you probably sit up at night and wonder weird things. I know I do. But I don't even know how to really articulate them. Except that I totally know. I just don't know that I know. So I'll try. So like, when I'm up exhausted like this, and for some reason sound really high, I often wonder about whether or not there were dinosaur people at one point that we don't have any fossil evidence for. Like in all the billions of years that this planet has existed, all the millions of years there have been animal life forms on this planet. You know, and the fossil record only shows us a tiny fraction of the vast variety of species that were on this planet at any given time. I don't know the exact percentage, but I remember it being tiny. Like, it's like judging what someone's living room must look like based on only having the remote control to their television. Like, we don't have any earthly idea what was in that room. So, it just seems interesting to me that there are all these creatures that were living here that we don't have any idea and have no way of really ever seeing it. You know, unless we build a giant telescope, like tens of millions of light years away, that the mass of it would be, in order to actually have a telescope that can look that far and see that detailed an image of Earth, because, you know, and we'd have to get them there faster than the speed of light. I mean, and you know, even if we could do that, this telescope's mass would be so great because it would have to be so, like, light years across, enormous, that it would collapse into and form a black hole. So what I'm saying is there's no way to know for us what used to live on the planet with all of the fossils we have. And it, because it's just to the conditions required to fossilize remains are very hard to come by. It's not like everything becomes a fossil. Most things do not. So I suppose, there's a good chance that the creatures we seem to find the most fossilized evidence for were probably the most numerous. I mean, it seems logical to me that if you have a creature that's been caught in the conditions to fossilize its remains more than once, and it's so rare for anything to get in those conditions, then that species must have been numerous enough for that to happen to it more than once. But that's not necessarily true. And so who's to say there wasn't a previous intelligent, technologically advanced life form? I think that's what sets us apart from the animals, other than the other animals, aside from our intellect, is our dang it, I lost my whole train of thought. Our technology. Yeah. We're a technological animal. So, technology is anything from the wheel to a space shuttle. Technology doesn't have to be like they had a space program or had entered the computer age ever. But there could have been another life form. And nature does love its forms, Certain forms are favored in evolution. Like, I think there's a dinosaur that looks like the iguana could have evolved from it, but it isn't the case. But those are independent evolutions that formed a very similar looking creature, which is fascinating. Because if you think about it, nature shapes the course of evolution. So, in certain climates, certain life forms, certain styles of life form will evolve. So I would think, considering the human form is the dominant animal on the planet, I would think a humanoid form would be something nature would funnel evolution through. Some species would get all the right mutations, And it's not like they would have 10 fingers and 10 toes. It would be a variation of, like a bipedal creature that had arms and fingers, and we may have multiple arms, like more than 2 arms, it could be very different. But the basic forms of my head's up here, my eyes are in front, this is how the basic structure of a life form, like a template, sort of. And that could have risen up in another mammalian form, or in like reptilian form. So dinosaur people, man. What were dinosaur people like? If they existed, and could they have existed? And like how big would they have been? Because there's more oxygen in the earth. And that's what I have read, and I can't say with certainty that's the reason, but I've read that that's a theory as to how or why there were so many giant life forms on the earth in the time of the dinosaurs, that more oxygen promoted more growth. So would the dinosaur people have been like enormous, like dinosaur-sized humanoids? Like, would they have walked T-Rexes on leashes? Or would they have been small like us? It seems unlikely they would be small. Like, if you look at a dragonfly from that time period and multiply the size of a modern human as much as that dragonfly would be multiplied from a modern dragonfly. And that's probably how tall the dinosaur people stood. And I can't calculate that in my head. But right, so if you're an insomniac, you've surely found yourself going down such mental rabbit holes. Like, keep me off the internet when I have insomnia. I will learn things on YouTube that I never knew could be learned. But yeah, that's one of my things. The dinosaur people. And that could be cool. Like, storytelling wise, like that's a fun thing you can do in fiction, is you can look at those giant gaps in our knowledge of ancient times, and you can just fill in the gaps with your own creations. And it's fun. It adds to the escapism factor of it. So right, I'm not saying there were dinosaur people. I'm just saying I wonder about it sometimes. And think it might make for a really cool story. Like, if they didn't actually go extinct. Like when the Ice Age came or something, they went underground. Because they were technologically advanced. We don't know how technologically advanced. But they would have had, the scientific ability to predict the Ice Age and look for a solution and try to, get down closer to the Earth's core where it's warmer. And this is starting to go in an Edgar Rice Burroughs direction, which is fun. Yeah. Tarzan was fun. I love Edgar Rice Burroughs. I just love his style of his pulp fiction. I love John Carter. Like, I love that movie too. I thought it was really good. I was sad it didn't merit a sequel at the box office. But I mean, it literally was in development hell for a century. A century in development hell. Yeah, and it was weird because I read that novel for the first time in 2012. And I thought it was cool that it was 100 years old. And then I found out there was a movie coming out. Probably after I'd read the second or third one, you know? Like, because you can go through them so fast. I love that. The John Carter of Mars books. But yeah, like, I think about that too. Like, because John Carter literally just goes to sleep and wakes up on Mars. And I don't know, like I just wonder, I'm about to go down a whole other rabbit hole about the nature of reality. But I won't. Not this time. I think I did that last time. Like crazy last time. I think I did that. Yeah. Ooh. Mars. I'm not gonna. That would be hilarious if I did a video and it's just me like sitting on the couch pretending to read National Geographic backwards. What's wrong with me? The reason I can't sleep is because I'm deranged, and it's cool because the world is mad. The world is entirely insane. Like, I was just thinking about, the other night when I couldn't sleep, I was lying in bed thinking about racism and how it's literally the most genuinely insane thing that humans have ever done. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you think about, here's the thing, just biologically speaking, there's only one human race right now. We come in different colors. We come in different shapes and sizes. But we're all the same animal, So here's the logic, the contradictory logic that I found in my head when I was thinking about racism and how it is insane. So we're all biologically the same, but we can be divided into sub-races based on the color of our skin. So if that is true, if our races can be broken down based on skin color, then our races logically must also be broken down further based on our eye color and our hair color, because it's equally relevant. But if we can't break people into sub-races based on eye color and hair color, then we also can't break people down into sub-races based on the color of their skin, because these things are equally relevant, but they're not given equal treatment. It's insane. It is insane. So, yeah, and then to say that one race is better than all the other races and all that crap, and like, how could anyone ever come to that conclusion? about any, like, it just literally does not make sense. So, that's a thing that keeps me up nights. Just the fact that the human race is insane. I mean, we've done some crazy things, but I honestly think racism is the single most irrational thing that the entire human race has gone along with for countless centuries. It doesn't make sense. So, you know, sanity is a social construct, and the society that constructed it is insane. It's a curious thing. So, what does it matter if a society that was created by insane animals deems you to be insane? When the definition, because it is a mad society, by its nature, the definition of insanity itself is inconsistent over time. Like, it used to be considered insanity if you're a woman who refuses to have sex with your husband, and they would throw you in the asylum. How convenient. You know, that was considered legally insanity. Being gay it made you legally insane. We don't see either of those things as qualifying as insanity anymore. So, the definition of insanity is inconsistent when it's defined by a society that is, in fact, by its own standards, insane. I'm just saying. It's a mad paradox. So, we can't trust people when they think that they know that we're insane. And they think, usually, when they say this, that makes you lower than the definition of sanity of any given time and place. But you may look at them and think it makes you higher. Because you see that they're narrow, they're locked into this little box of limited thinking. And you don't fit in their box, but the box is labeled in sanity. It's labeled sanity. What's in this box is what we consider sane. You're not in this box. Therefore, you must be less than sane. But you look at them and say, you're right, I am not in that box. Therefore, I am beyond sane. I have transcended sanity. I like to think, if I'm insane, that I have transcended sanity rather than fallen short of it. That's a madness I could be proud of. Yeah. You know, that's the whole thing about life. If you just embrace your madness, you can make it a madness to be proud of. You should, yeah, make life a madness to be proud of. It's like, I did that. That was nuts. You know, I don't think most people get the benefit of realizing the absolute absurdity of their existence. Like, everything we do is ultimately absurd from any higher vantage point. of consciousness, I think. Like, I mean, this is absurd. I love it. I love my life. I love my absurd life. That's why I feel bad for people who take themselves so seriously. I mean, the fact that they take themselves so seriously is in itself absurd. Because we're just a really funny little animal living on this planet with all the other animals. But we're just so conceited. We're just so full of ourselves. It's hilarious. We take ourselves so seriously. And we make up all these really weird rules, like you have to wear pants in public and stuff. Like, why? Why is no shirts, no shoes, no service even a thing? Like, who was that hurting? I remember running into like a convenience store in Houston wearing nothing but shorts in the summer, in the Texas summer. My cousins and I rode our bikes in Houston to the convenience store. Don't remember what it was called. U-Totem or something. And yeah, we would just run in there. We weren't wearing anything but shorts. No shoes, no shirts. We were just riding our bikes all over town, practically naked. It just felt so nice. And nobody questioned whether that was okay when we walk into the store barefoot and shirtless. I guess I never understood. I was too young when that changed to really understand what the argument was. And I was coming at it from a child's point of view, which I still hold, because I haven't really analyzed it since then. So all these thoughts are fresh from my childhood. No shirts, no shoes, no service. We're born naked, man. I don't know. Like, why are we so... That's one of the hilarious things about humans, too. Why are we so scared of our bodies? Like, why are we so, like, as a society, why do we put so many regulations on things? Like, either codifying them or just by social expectations and norms, you know? Like, why are we so ashamed of our genitals? Why are we... No other animal does that. Like, what about higher intelligence makes us ashamed of our genitals? It doesn't make any sense. So that is also insane. I mean, it really is. Not as insane as racism, though, in my opinion. I think racism is more insane than being terrified of your own genitals. But, like, it's just nuts. We're animals. We were born naked. I don't understand the fear. And the fear of individuality in society that a lot of people, don't know they have. We're afraid of people stepping outside of our box of preconceived notions for them. Our wants and desires for them, our expectations for them. we don't want them to step out of that and be their own person, you know? That's weird. Because you see that's like in any like group where they shun someone for something they did, or excommunicate them from a church, banish them from a society, won't sell them a wedding cake. You know, it's fear of individuality. Because it's always over something that someone's doing that isn't hurting anyone. And I mean, running around naked in today's culture, because it's not an everyday thing, of course, we have to worry about predators and stuff. So I'm not advocating for letting, like, children run around in their underwear, basically, like we used to do. Not in today's world, it's too crazy. But I wonder how much of that is because we've gotten so desensitized to being comfortable with more skin. Like, the more we cover up, the more we hide, the more taboo it becomes not to hide, I guess. And it just shocks people. Because people get comfortable with a routine. They get comfortable with, this is the way it is. We wear pants. You know? And I mean, there are practical purposes for shoes and pants and everything. I'm just saying, it's also weird that we don't grow our own fur. But I don't know, man. I don't even know what I was talking about. Yeah, no earthly idea. Oh, right, pants. So I think it's weird, like, that there's a law that says you have to wear pants. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not talking about, like, lewdness. Like, definitely assaulting people should be illegal. That makes practical sense. And I'm not saying I just really want everyone to be pantless. I'm just saying that's one of those laws that strikes me as irrational for the most part. That if you're not doing anything lewd, and I mean, at this point though, if anyone walked into like a Walmart nude, it would be assaulting. Like, because we're not braced for that, you know? But I'm just talking hypothetically. Or, that's not really the word I'm looking for, but, you know, I can't sleep. Yeah, it just, it's irrational that it ever became a law, in my opinion. And you know, you have different groups of humans all over the world with different levels of comfort with nudity. Like, I don't know. It's not the only thing like that. It just doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. Yeah, okay, so fear of individuality. Like, there is a dress code, basically, by law. There is, you know, like, what is marriage? It's like the government doesn't want y'all to break up. I don't know. That's just a weird thing too. But it's, you know, there's a standard to conform to, and marriage is part of it. And it's like, you're shunned if you don't stay married forever in some circles. But that again is like, it's fear of two people doing something they weren't supposed to. But it doesn't affect anyone else, like, directly. I mean, yeah, anyone goes through something like that, there's shock waves, but I mean, it's their life. Like, what do we care who they want to couple up with? Even if it isn't each other, it's not our business. Just like stuff like that. Like, there's stuff we regulate that just seems weird to me. It's just, why? And you know, like, money isn't real at all. The entire monetary system would just be gone if everyone decided we don't acknowledge it anymore. It's not like the cosmos would force us to enforce the monetary system. It's just something we made up, and people take that so seriously too. It's just little points we earn and trade for things. It's not an immutable part of our human experience. It will end. All things end. So too will the monetary system. But it's another way of keeping people under control too. Just, yeah, there's social norms we're not supposed to break. So yeah, I don't get it. I'm always fascinated by people's individuality. Like, I really bond with people over what we have the same, but I am fascinated by people when it comes to what's different. You know, tell me a story I haven't heard. So, right. People should just stop wearing pants. I mean, it seems like it's happening in the world. People are just all becoming porn stars these days. It's like, let's make some extra money off of this date and post it on my OnlyFans. That makes me mad. Like, OnlyFans makes me mad. And here's why. And it's not for any prudish reason. It's just that we're squeezing everyone so tight in this country, economically, that, you know, corporations are so greedy. Like, those people who had been on YouTube for years, you know, with millions of followers, they shouldn't have to resort to Patreon and OnlyFans to make a living off of the ad revenue, right? And yet they do. Well, maybe not the ones who have millions and millions of followers, I don't know, but you know, the ones with hundreds of thousands of followers. There are people on YouTube who have more viewership than a lot of popular TV shows who don't make anywhere near the money off of those ads that they should, based on that fact alone. So it makes me mad because it's just the OnlyFans thing. It seems like a lot of the YouTubers I used to watch years ago have vanished because they just don't make any money off of ads. And they go to OnlyFans and basically turn into porn stars, which isn't what they used to do. And it just feels like the system is crippling us to the point that we're all becoming porn stars to survive. It's like, I don't judge anyone for making a choice to do that. That's not what makes me angry. What makes me angry is that so many people are only doing that because that's the only way to keep doing a form of what they love and make money. Making videos. It's kind of an addicting thing. Like putting yourself out there. So in order to continue to feed that addiction, I guess, and make money, they go to OnlyFans. And I've never followed any of them there because I can't afford that. And I don't, when they go to that kind of content, I'm not interested in that. That's not what I watched them for. Like one guy, I started watching his YouTube channel because I was looking for author YouTube channels. And now he's a porn star. I don't know. Well, I don't intend to go that route myself. Yet, always say yet, you never know where life's going to take you. But it makes me mad that people are being squeezed out of a place where they were thriving and having to do something they probably would never have done otherwise. I don't know. And I mean, yes, you can say they have other things they can do, but a lot of them don't. Like not really. Like they could, but they'd be, it's not enough to survive. You gotta live. You have to be happy. You can't have your soul crushed. That isn't living. So, when you've had your dream job for years, and you just, you don't really have any other skills, and how do you go down from that? I mean, I struggled with that myself. Not with becoming a porn star, but which again, no hate to porn stars. It's just I want them to choose it for their own reasons other than being forced to be doing that, But but I struggled with having had my dream job for years. And then where do you go from there? Because you can't go back to working retail without it crushing your soul. Because you had graduated from that. There's nothing wrong with working retail. Everyone should. Everyone should have to, that's a law I could get behind. Everyone needs to work retail and food service for a year. Then we'll all be much nicer to people. That's why I think that. But I did my time. Rose up to exactly where I wanted to be in life, and then, over the caretaker years, I lost that job, and day jobs horrify me. They're hard to come by. I mean, So I mean, I do gig stuff to make money when I need money. I don't know if I can ever, like, happily just have a job that exists for the purpose of making some other person a whole lot of money. You know? Like, I don't want to answer to some jerk boss, like, I do stuff where I answer to myself. And there are jobs out there I apply for, day jobs that I would love. Like, I just have to be doing something that means something. And that was the dream job I had. I mean, I'm okay, don't worry about me. I'm just saying, day jobs I can do without being crushed in my soul are few and far between. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm cool with myself. But yeah, but it's hard. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to go from being the captain to being the guy who mops the floor, I guess. Because, if you started out as the guy who mops the floor and rose up to captain of the ship, then you go back to being the guy who mops the floor, you're like, it's like you never got anywhere. I guess, that's the feeling. So I can't have a job, I can't take a job that's lesser than the job that I had before, the day job I had before. I was in youth ministry. That's a topic for another 100 videos or so. But, yeah, it was great. Because I set my own schedule, I ran a program, I came up with cool ideas. I got to work with young people and mentor them, and I got to work with families. It was a really cool job. It was my life, really. So, I was in bliss, like, my fantasy life and my actual life were completely lined up. I was 100% content with my existence. So it's hard. It would be hard to go back to something like retail, where you're answering to someone who really doesn't care about anything but covering the shift. And yeah, you're just, someone's cracking the whip, so to speak, watching the clock, monitoring your time. Yeah, it's just, that's soul crushing to me. Because I've done it and, been on my way up. I worked at a grocery store. I hated that job so much. I worked in a movie theater. Where did I work? A bookstore. I worked in a bookstore just as a peon. Well, no, they made me a lead salesperson immediately. But, from there, it's not like I had fallen there. I had risen there. And then I became an assistant manager and, worked my way up in the work world to where I had an office and a youth program. And didn't much answer to anybody for it. I mean, there were people above me in the pecking order at the church, but they didn't really care. They weren't really involved in what I was doing. Yeah, so it's hard to go from being the captain of the ship to not being the captain of the ship is what I'm saying. I need another, if I do another, normal person day job, it will be something that I love equally. I will be the captain of my own ship. Somehow. That's kind of like the sort of things I do to earn money now. So I'm just the captain of my own ship. But yeah. And then of course, there's writing. It's just that I haven't put anything new out in so many years, but I've got a new one out now. As a little teaser at the beginning of this video will attest. Check it out. Because that's a bliss job. Writing is a bliss job. Yeah, I just like working with people and guiding them through things, be they real people or fictional people. It's kind of the same. Like, writing to me is like working with people. I'm working with characters. I'm working through them. Throat's so dry. But anyway, this rant's been basically about nothing. I think. I have no idea what I've been saying. Honestly. And that's a good place to be. Yeah. I'm sitting here in the middle of a society that's always been insane. In a race that's always been insane. And I feel fine here. I fit. We're all mad here. Anyway. I guess I'll try to go to sleep or something. So I've been at this almost an hour. So subscribe below if you are so inclined. And I guess I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for sitting up with me.